Welcome, everybody, to the second episode of Our Roots in Tea. And for our new listeners, give you a basic breakdown. We explore the topics of, very existential topics such as spirituality, meditation, mental well-being, what else? Philosophy, purpose, happiness, and so on. And each episode, we try a different type of tea because tea tends to have a very calm and meditative effect. And today, we are trying the brand is Tunein tea is ginseng and mango and pineapple herbal tea. So apparently it says it supports mental focus. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
And okay, anyways, we have Sarah Owens today with us.
Hey guys.
Go close the mic, yeah.
Hey guys.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so today we mainly will be discussing yoga actually, because yoga, we'll be exploring how yoga correlates with, a little bit of the inner spiritual self, the meditation, and the mental health aspect. So it's not only just for physical stretching. And Sarah here, I know, can I call you yoga master?
I don't think you can call me a yoga master. I think that's safe for people who've done at least 200 hours of yoga teaching or more.
Okay. All right.
But I do practice yoga. I've been practicing yoga since high school.
Okay.
And I love it. Like personally for me, it's something that I need to do.
Okay, great. You know what? Let's just even dive right into it now since we're already on the subject. Just, I guess before we even get into the meat of it, how did you start? Like, why?
I started because I did like sports in high school.
Okay.
But after I graduated and towards the end when my sport was like out of season, I like didn't have anything to do. And I had done cheer and dance for like 10 years. So my body felt so tense and tight and I just felt awful. And I was like, okay, I need to start doing some exercise. So I started those Julia Michaels videos and she does a lot of yoga poses. And it just like clicked. I just really liked it because I had trained to be so flexible my entire life and to like handle really like high resistance exercises that it like actually stretched my body and it actually like pushed my muscles in a way that I felt like running and a lot of other just like personal exercises couldn't. So I got into it in high school and it was also really good for me mentally because I was very stressed. Let's be real. Asian child going to UCLA, like she'd spent her entire career doing everything perfectly to like try and get to the best college. And then when she got in, she was like, all right, what now? You know what I mean? So,
okay.
yeah, that's how I got into it.
That's quite interesting. Do you normally, I don't know if you kind of do it like in like a, how you always see people do in huge groups.
Oh, yeah.
Or you do it yourself. And
for me, I started with like YouTube videos and I just thought that was really helpful.
Yeah.
Because it was like you could do it whenever you wanted to. I had a busy schedule. And like, you're kind of like embarrassed at first to like go into like a class of people and like have everyone judge you. Mm-hmm. So it was just a really good segue for me. But I have done like classes and I tend, obviously with COVID, I tend to just do it like in the morning in my backyard or something.
Okay. And like how many hours in the morning?
So I think it really depends on the practice and it also depends on your time for that day. What I like about yoga is like there's not a time restriction and there is a way you can just be creative and really like feel what your body needs for that day. So if I'm doing it for exercise, we'll do like 45 minutes. And then if I'm just doing it for stretching or just to like cool down or like prepare for the day, like a 30-minute like stretch or vinyasa flow is usually what I'll do.
Vinyasa flow, can you explain a little bit of what that means?
That's something that I honestly didn't learn until quite being quite into yoga is most yoga poses come from hatha yoga. And so that's what most people do. Like it's not minimal, but it's just the poses. There's not a lot of breathing and timing that goes into it, where you would be working out more when you do a vinyasa, which is a different type. There's a bunch of different types.
Okay.
But vinyasa focuses more on breathing and movement. So basically with every breath, there's a new pose. So it's a little faster pace and it's a little more of a workout. So I am used to working out like heavily, and my body does not respond to just walking
right.
you know. So I do vinyasa when I want to exercise because it is a little more rigorous.
Okay, so of course different forms has this different kind of routine, I guess.
Yeah. There's also like Ashtanga.
Oh, Ashtanga.
Yeah,
Okay.
which I've been getting into more lately, and I feel like, and it's like vinyasa, but it's a little bit, I don't know, it's like a little more rhythmic kind of, you know? But yeah, there's a lot of different types of yoga. There's a Bikram yoga, which I'm sure all of you know as hot yoga. Yeah.
Is that what they call it?
Yes, they do. They call it hot yoga, which I hate.
Why?
Oh my God. Everyone loves hot yoga. But I did it. I tried it out with one of those Groupons, and it's so hot. I literally sweat through. My clothes were drenched in sweat. And after, like, I honestly was just dehydrated and felt awful. And I'm sure if you push through a couple times, you're like, wow, that was the best, detox of my life. But that just didn't happen for me. It wasn't accomplished. It was too much.
Well, is it supposedly, if you're sweating, is a good thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So have you ever done hot yoga before?
No, I don't even know what that is.
You what? No. Basically, they do a lot of vinyasa flows, I believe. Yeah. But not only, it's like there's 26 forms.
Oh, wow.
And which is like poses. Mm-hmm. And each class, which could be anywhere from an hour to 90 minutes, you go through each form. And like you're like, okay, cool, that's fine. Like 26 forms. But the room is heated to like 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And so you're just sweating, and you have to make sure to like bring a towel. They even recommend coming in a bathing suit because you're going to get like, you're sweating so much.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like doing yoga in a sauna.
Yeah, I was about to say that too.
Yeah. I'm sure people like it, but I died.
Okay. Well, okay, since you don't practice, okay, so the yoga that you do practice,
yes.
Do you do all the poses all at once, or you kind of split them up, or you pick and choose? Or
I mean, when I want to stretch out for my own needs, I'll pick and choose what poses I want to do.
Okay.
But lately, I've been doing a lot of, what is her name? Oh, Bryony Smythe. She has a YouTube channel, and I like that her videos are like, do like this forms, or like this vinyasa flow is for flexibility, or this one is to start your day right. I like having that other element that prepares me mentally for like whatever physical activity I'm doing, or to make sure what I'm doing is focused on releasing tension in my hips or something like that. So when I do yoga, I mean, you obviously just start with some breathing, you know, the reason why yoga is called yoga, it's because of like the mind-body unification, basically. I think wherever yoga comes from, the word means like to unify.
Okay.
And so breathing is such a huge part of yoga. You can't do yoga without breathing or without having that element, because it's about bringing presence to your body, recognizing what your body's doing, what your body needs, your habits and everything. So for me, you start with breathing, which most yogis will do. And then whatever flow you want to do that day, or whatever you need for your body. That's the yoga term. Whatever your body needs, you know, you just do.
Okay.
Have you ever done yoga? Any type of yoga?
I've tried.
Oh, yeah?
I've tried. But, well, it kind of ends up more to be just stretching in a way.
Yeah.
Which yoga is kind of like.
Yeah, it is.
In a sense. But I would think that yoga, because you did mention about, you know, kind of the unification of the body and
the mind.
The mind. And for you, how's that experience? Like, when have you kind of found where that unification is? Like, I know it's a very broad concept, or
no, yeah.
Very...
I think that for me, in my earlier years of yoga, that was really important.
Yeah.
Because I was, contrary to popular belief, I know I'm a very sunny person with a big smile.
Yes, you are.
I was really angry when I was younger, like really angry. Because, you know, like family stuff, like when your parents get divorced, like those kinds of things.
Okay.
So for me, I'd never, like, competitive cheerleading was really great.
Yeah.
Because you can be very aggressive. It is very physical. It's very physically demanding. And it allowed me to, like, just unleash all my anger and get it out of my body, you know? So I could be the sunny person. But once that was over, it was really hard to not have some sort of release or not have some sort of, like, extra thing to do that just de-stressed myself. And when I came to yoga, it was really hard in the beginning, and you'll find that a lot of people quit. And I think it's because, like, you have to be so present with yourself that you have to face a lot of anxiety and stress that's emotionally in you, but manifests physically. And that's one thing that I've learned from yoga. Like, speaking to the mind-body connection, the way you feel and the way you hold stress can manifest physically in your body. For me, I manifest it in my hips.
Oh.
And so, like, doing any pose where, like, basically I'm stretching those out is so beneficial, and it hurts. Like, it physically hurts. And the first time that I did, there's one type of yoga where you hold, like, each pose for, like, a minute. First time I did that in those poses, I was cursing, I was angry. I was like, this is awful, because I had so much tension. And then after you release the pose, after the practice where you know, just like thank your body, come back to center, I felt amazing. Like, I felt renewed. So it's really amazing what yoga can do for your mind.
And you, and in the sense that after doing yoga, I shouldn't say eliminate, but I guess you, I'm sure there's still some stress and anger that pops up, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you don't have resolved issues, you need therapy, you know?
Yeah, okay.
Like, yoga can't do it all for you. You have to work on yourself.
Yeah.
But yoga, I think, is a really, really great way to, they always say be present. So it's a really great way to understand where that's coming from, like where that stress is coming from.
Yeah.
And because a lot of the times, like right now, like we're constantly on the move, we're constantly on our phones, we're constantly distracted.
Yeah.
And you don't really notice if you're feeling a certain way sometimes. So when I do feel anxiety, sometimes I feel it most during yoga. And it's not because yoga is giving me anxiety. It's because, like, I realize it, you know, and then I can work it out physically. And then later, you know, you should do something to talk about it with someone.
Right. Okay. So yoga's almost, in a sense, another form of meditation where you're able to almost listen to your own voices or your thoughts and understand, like, oh, I have this going on.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like, I mean, the first time yoga was mentioned in, like, historical texts was, like, 3000 BC, I think, BCE. And then, like, it didn't become, like, the yoga that we practice today didn't become super prominent until, like, 7 or 8000 BCE. And, like, I think that it was used to prepare your body for meditation. No?
Oh.
Correct me if I'm wrong. But like they like yogis and I don't know, Buddhists and like or like at ashrams. What are they called? What are they called again?
I don't even know. You sound like you've done a lot of studies on this though.
I mean, just from things that I picked up, you've never read Eat, Pray, Love?
No. No. I have not. But is that what it's about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
you should. It's a really great book. She goes
Okay.
to Italy, Indonesia, and India.
Okay.
And in one of the countries, in India, I believe, she studies at an ashram. And it's basically about, like, do you know what an ashram is?
I've heard of it.
Yeah. They basically, like, just live frugally and all help pitch in.
Yeah.
And you meditate. And she would meditate with this one prayer. And it was really hard for her at first. And she couldn't get through it. She was physically sweating through it, the main character. And it just reminded me of, like, when I was doing that one yoga pose. And like it physically hurt me to do it. But after she finally got through it, she could like meditate so peacefully. Like she could do it, you know? And I think like as much as yoga is a physical like exercise, it's definitely a mental exercise too, you know?
Well, yeah, because over the years, I mean, people have advertised it as kind of like a physical exercise.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like the Beverly Hills,
Yeah.
like white mom, you know what I mean?
Stretching or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
right.
they do it because, like, you know, it's a lighter form of exercise, the one that they're practicing, or it's like to strengthen and lengthen. Like it is really great for your body, and I think they focus on that. But I'm sure that their teachers, wherever they are getting taught, understand like it's a lot about the mental side of it too. And maybe like in America, we don't advertise that as much, but it's definitely important. Like I think yoga helps you in so many aspects of your life, like focus wise.
Oh, really? Okay. So I'm sorry to cut you off. Do you actually do find your focus level better and mental health wise better? Is that what's going on?
Yeah. When I wake up, I wasn't doing it at the beginning of COVID.
Okay.
And, you know, we were in COVID, we were all not feeling too hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, like, during the middle of COVID, I was like, okay, I need to just, you know, get back in shape, feel good about my body, like, feel good about something, like, get back to work, do something. And so I did yoga every morning at, like, 7 a.m. And for those 2 months where I was very, very consistent and I did yoga every single morning, I felt like my day was always better. Like it allowed me to, you know, people talk a lot about like manifestation.
Yes.
It allowed me to not strictly sit down and manifest my life, but basically think about what was going to go on in my day and kind of create a positive attitude already. And approach my day the way that I wanted to and the way that I needed to with focus and balance. So I think it really, really helps. For anyone who wants to try yoga, you should.
Okay. Well, I'll ask this question first. So
Yeah.
for the ones who want to try,
Yeah.
what is the very beginner type of yoga that they can try, just for the listeners?
I would just start with hatha yoga. Anything on YouTube or any practice at, like if you go to an actual studio, they'll tell you, they'll be like, this is the beginner class, and they'll just call it a beginner class.
Okay.
But usually the hatha yoga is very simple, slow, all of the poses, and just, you know, it's not as rigorous as some of the poses. Like in a vinyasa flow, there's definitely a lot of inversions, like headstands and stuff like that. So just try hatha yoga, look it up on YouTube. There's a lot of really, really great YouTubers that like have really short videos and that are really engaging and informing. So
Okay. Wait, do you have your own YouTube?
I do not have my own yoga YouTube, no.
Okay. And you're not thinking about creating one?
Not right now, no.
Okay. All right. Anyways, so moving on to this question I want to ask is, I mean, it's not just during this pandemic, but I mean, even throughout the years, you've been doing yoga and, and maybe kind of self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
What insights have you gained from this, about yourself or about life, however you want to call it?
I think that doing yoga has made me, again, so present in my life.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I told you, like, growing up, having so many expectations and so much stress to be perfect was a lot. And doing competitive cheer, like, being perfect matters. You have to hit everything perfectly. There's a perfect way to do every single little tiny thing, and you get graded on it. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So is there like a particular experience, that had maybe a more like, oh, wow.
Well, I think it was again when cheer ended and I had lived my life perfectly.
Okay.
I'd got into UCLA, got in for biochemistry.
Okay.
I had all the extracurriculars. I was president and captain of whatever,
Okay.
And then after it all ended, high school ended, I was like, all right, I've been perfect. Now what?
Oh, so
It was
it's almost like a crisis type of.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
like there was no actual reward for doing everything the way everyone else thought I should. And for me, yoga really allowed me to see that, like, progress is perfection. Like, you always, in yoga, you call it a practice.
Okay.
It's because you're always getting better. There's never any perfect way to be all the time, constantly. The most important thing is that you show up and that you're present. And for me, that really helped just the way I live my life, because, like, going around expecting things all the time, expecting things to be a certain way, makes you angry when the things don't turn out that way. So when you don't expect it to be perfect, and when you just allow the world to just be, and enjoy it, then you really get to find a lot of things about yourself and about life that are just really great.
How much? I mean, I'm just based on just listening to you right now. It sounds like a lot of it has to do with your parents and how they.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh wow, that's a whole. Darren. My parents. That relationship with them was not great, especially in high school.
Okay.
And like being, you're Asian. I feel like there's a certain amount of like face that you have to have with everyone. Like, always be respectful, always be like nice, never, like, I feel like in Korean culture especially, it's like never make anyone else feel uncomfortable for what you're doing, you know? And so even though like I was struggling on the inside, like on the outside, I did everything exactly right on paper. So everyone was like, oh my God, Sarah's so great. Sarah's perfect. Sarah gets great grades. She's nice to everyone. And on the inside, I was like, well.
You just kind of care.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it's really hard,
I know I've asked you this before, but because you, well, for the listeners, you're half Korean. Yes. So does it matter that the other half is not? I mean, does that play a part in it?
I feel like normally it would, but my dad is very strict. My dad is very old-fashioned. He was military, army, police his whole life. So there was not a lot, like whatever he said went. You don't question, you just do it.
Oh, okay. So it didn't really matter if, he wasn't Korean or Asian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he had that like, I don't want to say older generation mindset, but yeah, older generation mindset of like, you do as you're told, Yeah. And so for me, it just fed into like, with the whole Asian side, like being, picture perfect, it just reinforced that instead of like being like, oh, there's some leeway there. Like you can kind of be whoever you want. It was like, no, you have to be this certain way, And any type of failure was seen as like awful. Like you should just stop.
No, I can relate. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, that's just kind of how traditional
Yeah.
Asian
I mean,
parents
you're in
think.
entertainment, right? Like,
Oh yeah,
how did your
yeah.
parents take that?
Of course not well.
Yeah.
I'm just like any Asian parent, you know.
Yeah.
But I would think that, you know, at least from art of practice, you are more able to, you know, express yourself or open up, right? Because now I'm sure that when you're having a conversation with your parents, you're able to say, yeah, whatever happened before was stupid. So I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah. I mean, yoga hasn't allowed me to just be like, well, I'm going to move on. It's allowed
Okay.
me to like realize that others' actions are not my actions and I cannot control it. And let go. You know, like let it go
Yes.
because being angry about it and holding that tension in my body is not going to help me. It's not going to help them. It doesn't help anyone. So I should just live my life the way that I truly want to live it, you know?
Okay. And let's say whenever you feel sore in your body, does it
Yes.
mean that you have like a lot of anger and stress all of a sudden pops up?
I don't know. It's not really sore. It's more like tight.
Oh, okay.
That means traditionally, like maybe I've worked out too hard because I love lifting weights. For me, like yoga isn't enough to like maintain a nice physique, but like it could mean if I'm tight in a certain spot, like I've run too hard or I've worked out a certain spot for too long and haven't stretched out enough. But if it's not that, like if it's usually like in my upper back or my hips, it's probably tension. It's probably stress. It's probably anxiety, you know? So everyone manifests tension differently. Like it could be in a totally different spot for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. No, I agree where a lot of times mental usually would transfer to your physical because, you know, that's why they always say, you know, you got to take care of yourself like
Yeah.
mentally because for whatever reason, you know, you actually feel it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're stressed out or whatever, you know, and
I
it's
mean,
like,
if you work an office job, you see all the time,
Yeah.
like they always have back problems, you know? It's because of the way that they're sitting and
Yes.
like they're always tense at work. So you guys should do yoga too.
okay. So one thing that I actually do want to circle back to actually is, you know, the whole being, you know, growing up in, you know, Asian family household because this actually sort of links to, you know, the whole mental health issue because usually, you know, growing up in the Asian household, that kind of stuff is like sort of like frowned upon or stigma, right?
Having mental health issues, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then my guess is that, you know, for you have never really expressed it because you were afraid.
Oh yeah, of course. My dad thinks therapy is for pansies and
really?
is
Oh,
not
wow.
a real, you know, thing that you should be doing. So
Well, he was in the militaries.
yeah, exactly. They have a lot of issues. They just don't know. He doesn't know how to express any type of emotions at all in any way. When he wants to tell me that he loves me, he's like, "Oh, you're an idiot,"
Oh.
and I'm like, "Thanks, Dad. Great."
Oh, wow.
You know?
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so it's not always what you say, it's the way you say it, and he means it nicely, but he's not saying it.
Right. Because he feels like if I were to be vulnerable and open up, it looks like I'm kind of like a weak person.
Yeah, weakness is a really, you know, toxic masculinity. Weakness
Sure.
is a really big theme in our house. You could never be weak, you know?
Okay.
You can never be emotional. And like my dad is kind of on the losing side for sure because me and my 3 other siblings are very strong-willed, and my sister is in the LGBTQ community,
Okay.
and she's very active politically. So whenever he's like, "You're being weak," she's like, "You shouldn't pay attention to those social constructs," and then she'll just grill him about like what you should actually be doing, which is good. He should learn, but he's too old too. So again, like Asian households or households where they don't really support mental health, I think it's really hard growing up in that. And I think yoga for me was a way to be able to express that without actually saying it. Because even now saying stuff, like saying I'm uncomfortable or saying like I don't feel well is still hard, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, all that is hard.
Yeah.
And would you say that, for you doing yoga is almost similar as escaping reality in a way?
Oh my gosh, yes. Hello, I'm an actor. All I do is try to escape reality and be someone else, you know?
But isn't that bad? I mean, it sounds bad when you put it that way, being someone else, right?
I think that it's not bad. It was my way to cope with things.
Okay.
I think that nothing is ever good or bad. There's benefits and disadvantages to everything that you do. So yeah, like escaping reality, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
You should want to be where you are. But like in some ways it makes you appreciate your own reality, Or in some ways it just allows you to escape for a little bit, and that's fine too.
Okay. And I mean, I don't know if you're a big believer in, spirituality and all that. And I figured that, you must have been just because, you start doing yoga. So you probably have a better understanding of yourself and that aspect,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, my mom grew up Catholic, and so did
Okay.
my dad. And they never forced that on us.
Okay.
Like, we never went to church ever, unless my like Asian family was over because they're very religious, or I was at my grandma's house. And like I liked going and learning about religion. I just never was like, this is my religion. For me, it just didn't click. So I don't practice religion, but I would say that I am very spiritual. I think that there is something bigger than all of us. Like there has to be that unites all of us. Everyone wants a connection. Everyone wants to believe in something. And I think that's always good, to be able to believe or have faith in something. I think that's always a good thing. And for me, I like that yoga isn't rooted in this person is the best person and they're who we should pray to or whatever. It's about like, again, the mind-body connection. So it's like, it's not like when you die, this is going to happen to you.
Yeah, it's not like there's some kind of godly figure like, Jesus or whatever.
And in yoga, I think a lot of the poses names are inspired by like deities in, I forget what religion, but it's not like there's all one thing that you have to do all the time. And that's what I like about yoga. It's spiritual in that it connects your inner spirit, your inner self, like your inner power with how you present yourself to the outside world.
Would you say that you can even just invent your own religion in a sense? Right?
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know if it's as easy as inventing your own religion, but invent your own practice, like invent your own, whatever you believe in. You don't have to believe in everything else that everyone else believes in, Believe in yourself, Let's all try that.
Yeah. I like that actually. That's very interesting because this is another conversation I had with another friend is that we, many of us are kind of conditioned by society. It's almost like, at least this is how my friend puts it. It's almost like, there's like a huge societal tree, and then we're these small little trees that are kind of just connected to that, and then somehow we're being kind of influenced or changed by these societal trees. And I thought that was a very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, human behavior can be both something that you just kind of have, or it can be conditioned by your environment. And I think that everything that we go through is conditioning, whether it's good or bad. Like when we were younger, I never saw like Asian movie stars except for like Jackie Chan and like Lucy Liu. You know what I mean? Like she's still my only reference, like basically, except for Crazy Rich Asians, right?
Yeah. Well, Joy Luck, the what's it? The other one.
Oh yeah, the Joy Luck Club.
Joy Luck Club. Yeah, and that's the.
Yeah, and like Mulan was really great for me because she's Asian. Like, when did they ever have an Asian on Disney in a Disney movie that was presented as strong and like
Yeah, it took
She
like
saves China. Hello, she's dope.
yeah, it took like 20, 30 years to even
Yeah.
have that right.
Exactly. So I think that everything we go through is conditioning. Like, I'm so happy that now our younger generations have such a diverse range of cultures and ethnicities to look up to that are in media. And that conditions them to believe that they could do that, you know?
Would you say that it would help if, well, I mean, this is probably, really bold statement, but to get rid of pretty much all media.
Get rid of all media?
Well,
How do you do that?
I know. But I mean, the only reason why I have that thought is because there's also a lot of fake news out there. And fake news obviously has a bigger influence, than positive news.
Yes.
Because this is something that I've learned too, actually, over the past week, because there's this one podcast I was listening to. It's called Feeling Good by David Burns. Like he's a doctor. He's like a psychologist, and he's wrote a few books. So I think he's pretty known in that field. Because so he was talking about how a lot of times our human minds are or at least how he described it or someone else described it, is that our minds are Velcro to negatives, and for whatever reason, positives was just kind of bounce off of it. And when I thought about it, I thought it was pretty true, because
Yeah, I could see that 100%. I would say that I'm someone who looks on the bright side always.
Okay.
But like in my head, I'm always thinking about the worst outcome to be prepared for it. And I think
Sure.
that's like,
It's a survival thing.
yeah, it's a survival thing. It's what we were born with. Like, we have to be able to understand or predict the worst possible outcome in order to like be prepared for it so we don't die,
That's true. And throughout this COVID pandemic, and that's kind of how your mind works, is okay, what should I do if I catch this, COVID?
Yeah, 100%. I think until the past couple weeks, even for me, I realized, wow, I've been thinking so negatively for the past 6 months. Like, it's really affected me, because I used to go around the street and smile at people all the time. And now you have a mask on. Now you're not constantly thinking like, oh, what am I doing today? Oh, like there's a person, they're smiling at me. Oh, there's a dog. Now you're thinking like, oh my God, they're too close to me. Oh my God, are they 6 feet apart from me? Their mask is not on. Their nose is out. That's not cool, everyone, by the way. like, hello.
Yeah, that's not. And by the way, we are doing this podcast in social distancing with masks. So
Yes,
we're not
yes,
reckless.
yes,
Just to let
exactly.
people know that. Okay, go ahead.
But I just think that the way that you think really affects your life. And I'm sure he's right. Like, thinking negatively is inherent with us, and you have to train your mind to like think positively sometimes,
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and I think that's where it's hard, right? Because we're, like what you said, is like a survival kind of fight or flight mode. So
Yeah.
that's dating back all the way to like caveman days. So you're telling them to literally rewire their brain to think positively,
Yeah.
which is like
That's being
something
naive.
else. Yeah, that's. I don't know if that's even possible, to be honest. Just because, yeah.
I get told all the time I trust people too much. And
Is that so? Okay.
it's like, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Like, I want to believe in the best version of you. I want to believe everyone is good and doesn't want to hurt anyone. But the reality is, like, that's not always true. And so thinking not positively prevents you from being in a lot of dangerous situations, but it could also prevent you from being in a lot of situations that could be fun, that could turn out positively,
Okay. I actually do have a follow-up question with that. Because you talked about, because I know each person's definition is different, but for you, what do you believe is the best version of yourself?
Oh, I think that I'm still finding her. I think that you should never, ever, ever think that who you are now is the best version you can be. I think as humans, we're wired to constantly learn forever, and we should. But the best version of me, I think she would be living. She'd be living so happily. And she, like as a Sagittarius, I know some people are not into astrology, but
Sagittarius can what is it?
they're supposed to, I mean, traditionally we're very, very honest to the point where sometimes we're even a little too blunt. We're very ambitious and open and outgoing and very adventurous. Like we like to travel a lot.
Okay.
And for me, my highest self, as you could call her, would be someone who like takes all adventures as they come, who allows herself to not be weighed down by her own inhibitions and to not apologize for being ambitious or for doing a good job, you know, and to always be honest with her feelings and with who she is. Because I think I've been conditioned personally to always be nice and to always make sure the other person is comfortable. And as a woman, like to not tell other people when I'm uncomfortable. So that's something that I really had to like relearn or unlearn is if someone's making me uncomfortable, be like, hey, stop, you know, which is hard because people don't take that nicely and you're always afraid of that outcome.
Yeah. Because, well, I mean, generally people want to be polite, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, sometimes if you say no to a gentleman, they're not so happy.
Well, I mean, nowadays it's different. I mean, you should say no, just, you know, with all the movements and everything.
Exactly. And that's what has made me realize sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't stop it when I want to stop it or don't tell the person to back off when I need them to, not when it's convenient for me to slip away, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason why I was, you know, asking these questions and you know, and knowing about this is, I was just wondering if, let's say if you were never practicing yoga or even explore that, which you probably wouldn't even be thinking this way, right? You'd probably just be maybe kind of like same old Sarah from high school or whatever it is.
I think that if I hadn't practiced yoga, I wouldn't be so calm in some situations. I wouldn't be so present in a lot of situations. And I think that what you like pulls you to certain things. I think that I probably would have found some sort of way to be who I am today, but it definitely wouldn't be as, I don't know, so confident and secure in myself. And I think because like yoga's done that for me.
Okay, great.
And yoga's allowed me to be present. And without it, I think I would be very on the move, very distracted, very like constantly trying to push for something and never giving myself rest.
Okay, and because a lot of that due to, you know, your parents drilling you is that you have to do all this.
Yeah,
you know.
have to be successful.
Yeah.
I'm sure you heard that.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so because each person's definition of success is different. I'm sure your parents, they think that success for you is to have a great career, a house, right? A family. Is that the gist of it?
I get grilled all the time for not already owning a house.
Yeah.
I'm 24 years old. I can't even afford an apartment, barely. So, like...
Yeah, it's expensive.
Exactly. And, like, yeah, my parents bought a house when they were 20, but, like, hello, inflation and the market. Like, I don't think the boomer generation should yell at me for not having a house already because it's y'all faults, you know?
Well, to be fair, during our parents' generation, their minimum wage is, you know, a lot lower. So
yeah, they could afford to support themselves through college with like a summer job. And
really? Do you think so?
Yeah. When my friend's dad was back in undergrad, he worked a summer job and he would save up and he would pay for his year of college with that summer job. And I'm like, girl, I can't not work a full-time job and pay for my college right now.
Oh, wow. I didn't.
You know?
Wow. I mean, I didn't know that was such a huge kind of gap.
Yeah, just I think that with obviously inflation and the way that the market is, like our generation won't have the opportunity to own property like the generation above us.
Yeah.
You know, especially with COVID.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to grow back. It's hard to grow a market back.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is something I talk to my friends about all the time because it's funny because during this COVID period, actually, it seems like that more people are buying houses because the interest rate is so low. So now all of a sudden, even during this period, like the housing prices actually got jacked up because of this going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, and this is where the kind of the equality problem comes in because usually the people who are buying houses during this period are the well off,
wealthy, yeah.
The top 1%.
Yes.
But then rest of the world is
The
down
rest
there.
of the world's still struggling.
Yeah, still struggling, still down
Yeah.
there, and I bring this up because I know some people are aware of it, or I think that most people are aware of it, but I feel like a lot still aren't, and that's why I want to explore more about these aspects or these topics because that's how you train yourself to become aware of not just yourself, your thoughts, and everything else around you.
Yeah, you should be aware of what goes on around you.
Yeah, and
you'd be surprised how much we are not.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, the top 1%, like all they care is about themselves. I'm sure that's not the case.
I mean, if you had that much money, you would care about having your money.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't really speak for anyone because I don't know these people personally, but it's just these issues that now surface up, and then you're able to be more aware of it, and of course, well, not anymore now, but had Trump as president didn't really help. But anyways, that's a totally different topic.
Yeah, that's a totally
that's a political stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not here.
We can't even do that right now. We need 5 hours.
Yeah. That's a totally different topic. But
But yeah, you're talking about success, right?
Yeah, and for you now, since it sounds like there's a shift in your mindset, how much of this for you now is tied to, because a lot of people still tie to external factors or external items or objects, whatever, as a form of success. So making a lot of money, or owning a nice car. How much does that is for you is like whatever. I don't care.
In a perfect world where everyone had equal opportunities, I would say success is being happy with yourself and having people who love you around you and having something fulfilling to do. But we are not in that perfect world there, So for me, I think it has to be a combination of physical things and not physical things. Like for me, I think what's most important is being happy with myself and taking care of myself, and also being successful in my career. Like maybe not having the most money or being the most famous or whatever, but being successful at it, like being good at my job and knowing that I'm good at my job. And for me, being an actor, what would make me successful in my own eyes would be making things that just resonate with people, things that like people can relate to, and that'll make them feel less alone or understood. And that's what movies did for me when I was younger. It made me feel like someone understood what I was feeling. Someone knew how I was thinking and wouldn't judge me for it, Okay,
so in that sense, fame and money probably don't really have much to do. Well, I mean, I'm sure it makes...
I'm sure everyone wants to be...
Sure.
Everyone wants to have monies.
Yeah, but at least, those two factors aren't like the deciding factors for you.
Yeah, I think that as long as I'm comfortable, which I hope I will be, because I don't know how to budget, so...
Oh, okay.
As long as I'm comfortable, I think what is most important is is having something fulfilling, you know?
Okay. And then, money, fame, all that, somehow that kind of comes with it, like a
Yeah.
bonus type of deal.
Exactly. Yes. Fame and money would obviously be a bonus.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you're always going to need money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you got to put food on the table. Yeah,
Exactly.
I understand.
But that shouldn't be your number one. If you're making money just to make money, that's not how anything ever started.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how any big tech company, how any idea was ever successful.
Yeah.
The most successful things solved a problem
Mm-hmm.
or like made people feel connected, like Facebook, right?
Yeah.
I think that you should do things for the love of it and for the passion of it and just be good at it. And then the money will come.
True. Well, I mean, I do have another thing to say about Facebook, which I'm not going to address it here just because, yeah. Because I recently watched this one documentary film on Netflix called The Social Dilemma.
Yeah, I didn't watch that yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as much as I love what they've done and how they got started, but it's almost like after a while, I always use this as a reference to all my friends, as nerdy as it sounds. I always use Star Wars as a reference because it feels like at some point in time, people just tend to go towards the dark side.
I mean, I guess this would also be kind of preachy, but if there's an opportunity, people are going to take it.
Yeah, true.
That's the way of the world,
Yeah, I mean, that's also capitalism too. That's
yes, that is true.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. But no, I mean, yeah, it's just I just brought that up just because I just thought it was interesting. I mean, the movie, you should check it out. It's very interesting and it explores a lot about social media and of course how that links to mental health as well, and that's why it's very important.
Yeah, since TikTok came out, my attention span is 10 seconds exactly on the dot.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you're a TikTok star now. Is that what it is?
Not a star, but we watch.
Oh, okay. So all you do is just browse through it and you watch it.
Oh
That's
yeah,
it. Okay.
I love watching TikToks.
Okay, but you don't post your own videos.
No, not really. No, particularly.
Okay.
I feel like I honestly like Instagram Reels better. That may be like an unpopular opinion.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just feel like TikTok, there's too many videos, and Instagram Reels gives me a big variety,
Huh. Interesting. Why you just try to post your own videos? I don't know, like maybe you holding a yoga pose for like a minute is
just one yoga pose.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, not one. Maybe you could do a couple, but I don't know. I feel like that could be pretty impressive.
I feel like, I don't know, I haven't really got into making too much content lately.
Okay.
I mean, by myself. I feel like it's hard when you're like going to other shoots and stuff and your day is so busy. Like, honestly, YouTubers, they do so much work in like planning and editing. It takes so long to edit a video, like forever. I mean,
Yes. Yeah, it does.
So I think that's something that I'll definitely have to get into. I think that's the way that the world is going.
Okay.
Like if you don't know how to navigate online,
Yeah.
or if you don't code, like you should learn.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah.
How else are you going to get a job?
Yeah, it's a new skill.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually interesting. Now I have a question about that is how has all this affected you in terms of what you're doing, because I know you're not only acting, you also have other jobs too.
On the side, like obviously super actor job. I bartend. I'm not doing it right
Cool.
now.
Well, yeah, 'cause all the bars are shut down.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Honestly, I miss it. Like I mean, people can be super annoying, especially drunk people, but I miss like I'm a people person. Like I like talking to people. I like asking people about, their background, like what do they do? Like just having a conversation and making a connection with anyone. But since COVID, I've been doing a lot of social media work. And like I told you, I do the social media for another podcast and also for my friend's fashion company.
Oh, nice.
Which has been really cool. It's like an all men's brand and it's super dope. But I think I've always been creative And for me, when I was younger, that didn't equal success. Like, that's why I was pre-med biochemistry major.
Yeah.
And I finished my degree at UCLA in biochem because I was going to be a doctor. But the way the world is going, like, that's not... When I was younger, the best jobs were like firefighter, astronaut, doctor.
Yeah.
And now it's like influencer, like travel blogger, like tech guru, you know? So I think if you don't adapt, then if you don't adapt and you don't already love what you do, then you're just going to end up on the other side, like annoyed. You know?
Well, but at the same time right now, I mean, I'm sure there's a need for more hospital workers. So it's actually not a bad idea to be a doctor now. Well, I mean, no, I shouldn't say that. I meant it's bad because you are exposed to COVID more.
There's upsides and downsides, but doctors can't make as much money as they used to. And like even
now.
Yeah, even now the LAPD police chief makes more than like a bunch of surgeons in Beverly Hills. Like being a doctor is not as lucrative anymore. And with how healthcare, that's why when I was at UCLA and I did do research and I did volunteer, the way the healthcare works right now, it's all about billing. It's not about the patient. The doctor doesn't really see you. You get seen by a nurse practitioner. It's not how I wanted to work. I wanted to help people. I wanted to have that interaction and also make money and be good at like a field that's really awesome. But now it's all about billing. And for doctors, a lot of the practices like don't benefit you. You
Okay.
know?
So now you feel like the medical field now is really more operated as a business, not really has nothing to do with helping people. And that's actually what drew you in the first place, is being able to help people.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like medicine changes so often that the education that people are getting to become a doctor, by the time they're 5 years out of their residency, like it's obsolete. It doesn't matter.
Oh.
And if you're not willing to keep learning, that's when you get those doctors that are like, oh, you have menstrual cramps? Well, that's just in your head. You know? Like, I'm sorry you're 60 years old and you became a doctor however many years ago, but that's not science anymore, sir. You know? So, like, I feel like if you're a doctor, you have to keep learning.
Right.
And that's not always what happens. And that's why, even for me, with like going to just see my general healthcare, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like I wasn't even given the best care when I went there, you know? And that's like, I live in an okay area.
Wow.
Like, it is a reputable medical facility, and I'm still not getting the best care there. Like, what's happening? You know?
Oh, wow.
So I just think it's really privatized, and it just wasn't worth it for me anymore. Like, having, I don't know, being a doctor just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, basically the passion's really no longer there.
Yeah, exactly.
And, and for you, that's what,
that's what drives me.
Yeah,
like
that's what we talked about earlier. Yeah.
You have to have passion for what you do. I'm sure you love making films. I'm sure you love doing anything creative.
Yeah.
You have to have that.
No, that's true. Yeah. I mean, because I think, I forgot who said this. I think Steve Jobs said this. He said, if you found something that you, like something you love to do, you don't have to work another day.
Yeah. You don't work a day in your life. Or something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm butchering his quote. I mean, rest in peace. But totally butchering his quote. But something like that, along the lines of that. And that's true. And but I like where your mindset is at, though, too, because the fact that there are still many people who looking at the money aspect, obviously, just based on what you're even telling me.
And if it makes you happy to, like, I feel like for my parents' generation, it was get a secure job and be happy outside of your work. And for this generation, it's like get a job that makes you happy.
Yeah.
And if having a job that you don't really love, but like it makes you comfortable, makes you secure, and like you can do whatever you want outside of that, if that makes you happy, do it. But it doesn't make me happy.
Okay. And this social media gig that you're doing, that's good.
Yeah, I like it because I get to be creative. My mom's been in fashion my entire life.
Okay.
So I've just had an eye for like colors and aesthetics and branding and everything like that. And it just allows me to do that, you know?
So do you just sit around and post on Instagram all day? Is that what's going on?
No, that is one aspect, yes.
Okay, I don't know the job responsibilities, to be honest.
I mean, there's a lot of, so social media is basically under like digital media, like marketing.
Yeah.
Like I've done email marketing, I've done branding, I've made campaigns, I've done like product photos, videos, content. Like when you're a social media manager, you basically do everything. You write copy for all of your new posts, for the website, you pick out colors, like branding is really important. Like there's a lot of different things that you do in one day.
Okay.
That like before social media existed, maybe one person could do everything, you know?
Right. No, this is great information. I know I'll have more questions for you later on. But just because we are starting to run out of time, so I do need to start to wrap it up here. But I'm sure we can talk more offline.
Yeah.
But yeah, I for the listeners out there, I think it was a good firsthand experience that Sarah had shared with us, in terms of kind of her progression and how yoga, mixed with meditation, all that kind of help, I guess you can say, discover herself, because I mean everything we talked about is all linked to that, because I feel like if you don't even explore your mind that way, then you probably won't even think about certain aspects. And so I think that's really great, actually. I love this. Anyways, yeah, we'll have to wrap up here, and we'll be back next week, and yeah, so stay tuned.
Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Thanks
bye.
for having me.